Everyone got a slice of cake, except my little girl. And the person who denied her wasn't a stranger. It was my own mother. Pause for effect. That was the day I realized, family can love you and still hurt you. It was supposed to be a happy day. My brother's son was turning 5. The house was full of laughter, balloons were everywhere, and the air smelled like cake and excitement. Everyone seemed cheerful, chatting and joking, completely caught up in the celebration. I brought my daughter Mia with me. She was over the moon. She wore her favorite pink dress, the one she had picked out herself, and kept spinning around to show everyone. Her eyes sparkled with excitement, and I couldn't help but smile at how happy she looked. My mom was busy in her usual way, making sure everything ran perfectly. She smiled at everyone, handed out drinks, and welcomed guests as if she were the star of the party. She was the perfect host, friendly, cheerful, in control of everything. At first, it felt like everything was normal. We were all enjoying the party. But then, the moment that was supposed to be sweet and joyful arrived. The cake cutting. And suddenly, the happiness in the room felt different, heavier somehow. The birthday song ended. The candles were blown out, and the room erupted in applause and laughter. Everyone cheered, clapped, and took pictures. It should have been a perfect moment. Then my mom began serving the cake. Piece by piece, she handed slices to everyone around the table. Cousins, friends, even distant relatives. Everyone got a piece. My daughter, Mia, waited patiently, holding her small paper plate. She looked at the cake with hopeful eyes, ready to enjoy her treat. But somehow, my mom skipped her. She didn't hand Mia a single slice. I thought it was a mistake. Maybe she hadn't seen her. I leaned in and whispered, "Mom, she didn't get any." My mom looked at me and said flatly, "There's none left." But there was. I could see a half cake still sitting on the table untouched. The silence that followed was unbearable. Mia's small hands gripped the plate a little tighter, her smile fading. And in that quiet moment, a heaviness settled in my chest, one I would never forget. Mia tried to hold it in. She forced a small smile and said softly, "It's okay, Mama, I don't need it." But I could see her eyes welling up with tears. Her little face tried to stay brave, but I knew she was hurt. My heart broke, not just for her but for what this moment meant. How could my own mother treat her like that? How could she make my daughter feel so small? I quietly took Mia's hand and led her outside. We sat in the car for a long time, just the two of us. The sounds of the party faded behind us. After a few minutes, Mia looked up at me with a trembling voice and asked, "Did Grandma forget me?" I didn't have the heart to answer. I just held her close and let her cry a little, wishing I could take away all the pain she was feeling. A few days later, I couldn't stop thinking about what had happened. Mia's little face, her disappointed eyes, the way she had tried to be brave, it stayed with me. I knew I couldn't let it go without saying something. I had to confront my mom. I called her one afternoon, my hands shaking as I waited for her to pick up. When she answered, I could hear her usual cheerful tone, like nothing had happened. But I forced myself to speak. "Mom, about the party," I started, my voice quiet but firm. "Why didn't you give Mia any cake?" There was a pause on the other end. Then she said flatly, "You know how things are. Your brother's family comes first." I felt my chest tighten. "What does that mean?" I asked, trying to stay calm. "Does that mean my daughter doesn't matter to you?" Her reply was cold. "Don't make it a big deal. It was just cake." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Just cake? It wasn't about the cake. It was about my daughter feeling excluded, feeling unimportant in her own family. It was about teaching her that some people's feelings don't matter, even when they should. I took a deep breath, holding back my anger. "It's not just cake, Mom. It's about how she felt. You hurt her and I can't ignore that." There was silence on the line. I could almost hear her thinking, maybe even realizing, but she didn't say anything more. I continued, trying to make her understand. "I'm not asking for apologies. I'm asking for recognition. My daughter deserves to be treated with the same love and respect as everyone else in this family. Is that too much?" Her voice softened slightly, but it was still distant. I didn't mean to hurt her," she said quietly. I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. "Maybe not, but it happened. And I need you to understand how important this is. I can't let her feel like she's less than anyone else. Not now, not ever." After that, the call ended. She didn't argue, but she didn't fully apologize either. I realized then that some things might never change, but I had made my position clear. I would always stand up for my daughter no matter what. And for the first time I felt a small weight lift off my shoulders. A sense that I had done the right thing even if it wasn't easy. After the confrontation with my mom, I couldn't stop thinking about what had happened at the party. The memory of Mia's small hands holding that empty plate, the way she tried to smile through the hurt. It haunted me. I realized something that I had ignored for far too long. This wasn't an isolated incident. It wasn't just about a slice of cake. My mom had always shown favoritism toward my brother's children. Small things I had brushed off before suddenly made sense. The forgotten birthdays, the gifts she never remembered to bring for Mia, the little remarks that made her feel invisible. I had always hoped it was nothing, that maybe I was overthinking. But now, seeing it through Mia's eyes, I understood the truth. Favoritism wasn't harmless. It hurt. It made children feel like they didn't belong. And worst of all, it came from someone who was supposed to love her unconditionally. I sat down alone one evening thinking about all the times I had excused my mom's behavior. I remembered other family gatherings, other moments when Mia had quietly been left out. Each memory brought a pang of guilt and sadness. How had I let this happen? How had I not seen it before? It became painfully clear. If I wanted to protect my daughter's heart, I couldn't rely on anyone else to do it. I couldn't let her grow up feeling like she mattered less. The realization hit me hard. This cycle of favoritism wasn't going to change unless I made it change. And so I made a decision. I would stand up for Mia no matter how uncomfortable it made others. I would teach her that she deserves respect and love, and I would make sure she never doubted her worth because of someone else's choices. It wasn't about punishing my mom or creating conflict. It was about setting boundaries and protecting my child. Sometimes love means saying no. Sometimes love means confronting the people who hurt the ones you care about most. That night, I held Mia close and whispered a promise I intended to keep for the rest of my life. No one will ever make you feel small, sweetheart. I'll always protect you. For the first time, I felt a sense of clarity. I couldn't change the past, but I could control the future. And in that moment, I vowed that my daughter's happiness and self-worth would always come first, no matter what. A week later, it was Mia's birthday. I wanted it to be a day she would never forget, not for disappointment but for joy. I invited family, including my mom. I didn't know how she would react, but I was determined that this time, nothing would take away my daughter's happiness. The house was decorated with balloons, streamers, and all of Mia's favorite colors. The smell of cake and cookies filled the air. Mia ran around excitedly, showing everyone her little birthday crown, her eyes sparkling brighter than the candles we were about to light. When it was time for the cake, I made sure things were different. I picked up the knife and looked at Mia. "Today," I said gently, "you get to serve the cake." Her face lit up. She couldn't believe it. I could see the joy in her eyes, the pride of being in charge, and it warmed my heart. She carefully cut the cake and began serving pieces to everyone, just like my mom had done at my nephew's party. When my mom reached for a slice, Mia stopped and looked at me. I smiled and whispered softly, "Make sure you serve yourself first, sweetheart." Mia nodded and placed a big slice on her plate before serving anyone else. My mom's expression changed instantly. I could see the realization dawn on her. This was my way of showing her that my daughter would no longer be overlooked. For the first time, my mom saw Mia as she should have all along. Important, loved, and equal to anyone else in the family. She didn't say a word, but I didn't need her to. The message had been sent. The rest of the party went beautifully. Mia laughed, played games, and enjoyed every moment. Her happiness was genuine, untainted by exclusion or favoritism. Watching her surrounded by people who celebrated her made me feel a sense of peace I hadn't felt in a long time. That day, I realized that standing up for my child doesn't have to be loud or angry. Sometimes it's quiet, simple, and firm. It's making sure she knows her worth, giving her the chance to take the first slice, and letting her feel seen. By the end of the party, I knew I had done the right thing. No one could take that away from her. And for the first time, I felt certain that protecting her heart was the most important job I would ever have. And I was ready to do it, no matter what it cost. After Mia's birthday, I knew things had changed. The party had been a small victory, but it also made me realize how deep the favoritism had gone over the years. I couldn't pretend anymore that it was harmless, and I couldn't let my daughter feel unseen again. That night, after everyone had left, I sat down with my mom. I didn't want to argue, and I didn't want to make her feel attacked. I just wanted her to understand, to finally see things from my perspective. I told her quietly, "Mom, I need you to know something. If you can't love my daughter the way you should, then you need to accept that she comes first in my life. And I will protect her heart." There was silence. She didn't say anything. I could feel her thinking, maybe even realizing the weight of her actions, but she didn't respond. It hurt. I won't lie. It hurt that she couldn't see how her favoritism affected Mia. And it hurt that I had to be the one to set these boundaries. But I also knew it was necessary. Sometimes, protecting the people you love most means making difficult choices. Choices that others might not understand. In the days that followed, I watched my daughter differently. I made sure she felt valued, loved, and seen. Every hug, every word of praise, every small gesture mattered more than ever. I could see her confidence growing, her smile brighter, and it reminded me why I had to take a stand. I also realized that my relationship with my mom would never be the same. Some boundaries had to be set and some expectations had to change. It wasn't about punishment. It was about protecting my child and making it clear that hurtful behavior would no longer be ignored. That period was hard, but it was also freeing. I no longer had to carry the guilt of keeping silent or pretending everything was okay. I had done what was right, even if it caused tension. At the end of the day, the most important thing was Mia. She had felt seen, loved, and protected. And for me, that was worth everything. The difficult conversations, the awkward silences, and even the distance that might grow between me and my mom. Because no cake, no party, no family tradition is more important than the heart of your child. And I would always fight to protect it. Looking back, I realized that sometimes the people who hurt us the most aren't strangers. They're the ones who sit at our own table, who are supposed to love us unconditionally. Family can love you, but that doesn't mean they won't cause pain. That day at my brother's son's birthday, when my daughter was skipped over, it wasn't just about cake. It was about recognition, love, and respect. It was about teaching her that she matters, that she belongs, and that her feelings are valid. I learned something important through this experience. Protecting the people you love sometimes means having hard conversations. Sometimes it means setting boundaries, even if it makes others uncomfortable. Sometimes it means putting your child's heart before tradition, before family expectations, before even your own comfort. I didn't stop loving my mom. I never will. But I did stop letting her hurt the person I love most. I stopped allowing favoritism or neglect to go unnoticed. I made a choice to protect my daughter and ensure she grows up feeling safe, loved, and valued. And Mia, she taught me something too. Her resilience, her ability to forgive, her joy in small victories reminded me why these battles are worth fighting. Children feel what we feel, but they also feel what we protect. If they know they are loved and defended, they carry that confidence into every part of their life. So, if you're a parent listening to this, or even someone who's ever felt overlooked by someone you love, remember this. You have the power to protect your heart and the hearts of those you care for. You don't have to accept hurt as normal. You don't have to wait for apologies to feel valued. You can stand up quietly or firmly and do what's right. That day, my daughter didn't get cake at her cousin's party. But she got something far more important. A mother who would always fight for her, always stand up for her, and always make sure she knows her worth. And in the end, that's sweeter than any cake, any party, or any family tradition.